Motivation. I'm motivated. But what do you do when motivation is not enough? You rely on your work ethic. You rely on your discipline. That's my mentality. Now let's get it.
The stage, please welcome Julian Peters.
What's going on, everybody? This is Julian back with My Mentality Podcast. For those listening, welcome back to my voice. For those watching, say hello to my beautiful face. Today, we got the lovely Kyla Killman. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Joining us today, she's actually one of my teammates we just recently met. Real cool chick or woman. I don't want to offend y'all. So I'm excited to have you on. I'm about to actually throw you a curveball. And I had this plan since you agreed. Give me your top 3 favorite shoes of all time.
No, this is rude because you know this, and I don't have the.
Oh.
We know Forces are my favorite, and if you guys follow me, you know that. Put Jordan 1s at 2.
The final 3.
I'm gonna put Blazers at 3. It's a toss-up between Blazers and and Air Max 90s.
Air Max 90s. Okay.
Blazers are my babies.
Blazers
High
are like
top, low top.
I only got one pair of low top, and they kind of ugly. Like on top of that, but I really wanted them. Here.
Can't go wrong with dunks either. Low top dunks though. I don't like I like those. They're not ugly.
They're but it's like a fur. It's weird. Like it's a Metcon something. But yeah, I like dunks, but the market is so saturated now. I'm annoyed, so I'm like anti-dunk because I can't ever get one.
I feel about Forces though. Forces are super saturated. It's like everyone. It's like they're trending again. The fact that you have to get Forces on sneakers is kind of ridiculous.
But guess what? You don't. My last 3 or 4 Forces came straight from the Nike app.
Oh yeah, I've been going to. I have baby feet, so I go to Kids Foot Locker.
Yeah, so I'm on the Nike app at least twice a week, just so I'm like, maybe they'll drop something. So, but if y'all can't tell, Kyla's a sneakerhead like I am, so we could probably talk about that all day. We're not gonna do that to y'all. So first, let's talk about you. Just discuss your background a little bit, where you were born, all that.
All right. Well, I'm from Denver. Born and raised in Colorado. The Army brought me to Texas in 2014, and I stayed. I hate it in Texas. It's too hot, but it's grown on me, so I'm here. I did 4 years on active duty, and now I'm on year 3 of the reserves. And I am starting my last semester of college in 11 days. So that'll be psych major.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a little bit about me. 25. I have a daughter. She's 2 going on 20. I'm hiding in her room because it's the quietest place in my house. That's on having a toddler.
There we go. So, and you said that you're in your last semester of the psych major?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Oh, it's been long. I hate writing more than anything, but I love psychology. But with psychology comes writing. So it's been long. I've been full-time. So no breaks, fall, summer, spring. I'm just ready to be done. My last 3 classes of the year.
Is it like do you have like a big practicum or anything, or is it just taking classes?
We'll find out. I don't know. I think I still have my capstone. It's my last thing.
Yeah, familiar with it. I'm not a psych major by any means. I couldn't do that, but I'm familiar with that process. It's terrible. So you're doing that. I'm just wanting to make sure I get this right. We're going full-time school, full-time mom. You own a business.
I'm also a personal trainer. My business and my personal trainer kind of go hands in hand.
Yeah. You're a personal trainer and an active reserve. Like, that's a lot of hats to wear in a day. How are you getting by with that? Are you an organized person? Are you kind of a freelancer? Like, how do you go about your days?
I'm very routine based. So if I'm like out of routine, my whole day feels off because it's like my whole day is on a schedule. whether it's time for Zoom meetings, the gym, clients, schoolwork. Right now I'm in my like little break between summer and fall, so no school, but everything is very, very planned. If I fall behind in routine, I fall behind in my whole week, essentially.
Is that part of the military, or just how you always been?
I've always been like that.
Okay. That's interesting.
Makes life easy.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I am like procrastinator, terrible. I'm one of those people who like set up these habits. Like, oh, I'm gonna wake up and make my bed every morning. And every morning I don't do it. That's the problem. So I'm working on it. So yeah. So
it's like the one habit that leads to like all of the other ones. Make your bed every day.
That must be my problem. All right, I'll focus on making my bed every day. So all right, so we got that out the way. Not that it's a nonchalant thing. Like, props to you for going to school and doing your thing. Seriously, like, I'm a big advocate for education. So I don't know if people know this, but I got my undergrad in marketing. I got my master's in education. Like, I'm a really big like fan of education. A lot of people don't know that about me. So props to you. And the fact that you're doing it with all the hats, like, I'm giving you your flowers. That's dope. Keep going. I'm proud of you. So bodybuilding wise, what do you compete in?
This is a backstory. So I started with bikini. Bikini is where my heart is. I'll say that out to start. But there's certain ways I like to train. So back in 2017, I started in bikini. 2018, I decided I was going to cross over, and I did bikini and figure to get an opinion on which direction I should go. That was city limits. I took overall in bikini and figure. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I was like, oh, this wasn't my plan. Like, I was like, if I do this, I'm going to do really well in one, and it didn't work like that. So I went to nationals for figure, and I decided that was the route I was going to take. But then I had already found out I was having Mila, but we were at a show and I was watching the Bikini Pros. It was a San Antonio Classic. And I was like, I miss bikini already. Like, after I have Mila, I'm going back to bikini. Just the presentation and everything else. So then I dabbled in wellness for a moment. I'm too little. I could, but I'm little. So bikini. So we're back in bikini. Ryan has me back in bikini, and I'm here to stay, and I'm here to listen. So when I started with Ryan, he was like, what do you want to do? Don't tell me it's wellness. I was like, that's what I did last. He was like, how much do you weigh? I told him, and he was like, yeah, no, you're doing bikini. And I was like, I'm just here to listen and do what I'm told. So
yeah. Bikini. No, it's weird because obviously the wellness division, I just went to the USA's because it's down here where I'm at. And like the wellness and bikini division is so big. Like both and it's crazy the wellness is big as it is, but they're still trying to figure it out. So it's like, you feel bad for the amateurs, but yeah, it was a lot of bikini girls up there. Like,
in my first national show, I went to Pittsburgh in 2017. There was 48 girls.
Dude, I was there.
Oh yeah, 48.
I remember I competed at that. I competed in Pittsburgh in 2017. That's actually the first place I met Ryan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture. We took a picture. And it's funny that you were there. It's just funny how people are like, when we compete, all right, places at the same time, have no clue. But yeah, Pittsburgh, 2017, I was there.
Yep. Yeah, to 48 girls in my class. It was one day.
I had 36 in my class. And what you said is my exact thought process about men's physique. Like, I freaking love the division. Like, the posing, the presentation, I practice. Like, I love that. And so I'm a naturally bigger guy. So everybody's like, why don't you do classic? I'm like, because I don't like classic like that. Like, I like to watch it, but that's not what I like to do. I'm going to stay in physique. So I feel you on that. Hopefully that works out for you.
Hopefully.
No, it will. You got a great coach. From what I hear, you got a real good coach from what I hear.
I got the GOAT.
Most definitely. So, and what is your aspirations in bodybuilding? Is it just getting a pro card? Or you wanting to be competitive on a pro level? Like, what are you looking at?
It's always been the pro card, naturally the ever so wanted pro card, but I want to be competitive as a pro. The goal is eventually Olympia, and just to kind of, especially like there's one thing I realized being a mom is my last prep. I had competed active duty. waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to do cardio, going to do PT, going to work all day, leaving work, gym, post cardio, posing, not making it home till 9 o'clock. Being a stay-at-home mom in my last prep was the hardest thing I've done, hands down. Right. Like, you forget to eat and you forget everything else. Like, it's just not a priority anymore. So kind of to just like, one, go pro, but two, show that it's possible. And I've watched other, bikini pros, figure pros, other moms do it. But none of us really show like the behind the scenes part of how hard it is. And it is fucking hard because your schedule changes like that. You're like, oh, I'm going to the gym. Oh, my kid's sick. No, I'm not.
Right. So how do you work? Give us a glimpse a little bit. How do you work through something like that? The example you just gave, are you just not going to the gym that day? You got to make it up a different day? Like, what do you do?
Depending on what I'm training, if I can, movement is important regardless. So if I have my bike and my treadmill at home and, COVID, thank you. I have weights and stuff like that at home. So if it's like upper body I'm missing, I know I can get in, like I can do arms and shoulders at home. I can do a light back workout at home, or even like at least get my cardio in here. If it's not the Stairmaster, I can get on the bike, but try to at least get in some movement. And if I missed legs, or if it's just kind of a random day in the middle of the week, I'm like, I really hope that she feels better tomorrow, or, things are different. And I'll just kind of shift my training days. So if I already have been working out all day and it's a Wednesday will be my rest day and I'll work out on Sunday instead.
Got you. All right. So that sounds tough. I would imagine as far as diet goes, do you struggle with that at all? Or is that that's set to go?
Every now and then, yeah. And then I have a toddler that likes to try to like shove her snacks in my mouth. So I'm like sitting there trying to like, no. And I have a 2-year-old shoving Cheez-Its in my mouth. And I'm like, look, I wasn't trying to eat the Cheez-Its, but I was literally force fed the Cheez-Its. I'm like, right. It's like 4 or 5. I'm really happy she eats what I eat. So like Mila can eat chicken and rice all day. She eats cream of rice for breakfast or granola. Like my life is easy in that aspect. There's not snacks in my house. Mm-hmm. So there's minimal temptation there. So I'm grateful for that. She eats what I eat. Cause I feel like if I had to be like cooking her chicken nuggets or doing stuff like that, I'd be like, but if I gotta taste it to like make sure it tastes right.
Right. So here's the freestyle part of my part that I told you like to be aware of. I'll make a right or left turn. What you said though, like with your daughter, do you think that that's something that you, with the way that you eat and the way that you prep, that she was just going to kind of adapt to that no matter what? Like you're creating those habits for her? Or do you think that's something that like, because I've had friends who, my son won't eat anything but this, and this. And I'm just like, why is that though? Like, was he introduced to that first? Is it something that's genetic? Like, what do you think in that aspect?
I wasn't sure. So I wasn't even sure if she was, so rice has always been her thing, like forever. She could, if I would let her eat rice all day, she would eat jasmine rice all day. The hardest part to get her on board with was meat. So it isn't until like literally last week that she started eating chicken and like taking an interest in my chicken. So luckily she still eats like super healthy. So because she wouldn't eat chicken, she had no problem eating like vegan food. So like she has like a whole freezer of like vegan chicken nuggets and meatless, all the things. So I don't have an interest in that. So that's easy to make for her.
Facts.
But I always knew, if anything, if I'm heating up chicken and rice, she's going to at least eat the rice. But now she has interest in the chicken. But she didn't want meat. She has wanted nothing to do with meat for the longest time. But I just kind of let her taste everything I have. And sometimes she'll give it right back to me. And sometimes she's like, all right, I'm going to eat it. And then there's that too. We'll be sitting down eating. My food obviously is prepped and portioned for me. She's like, I want it more. And I'm like, yo, I need all 70 grams. I need all 3 ounces of this chicken, please. I need this. Can you get off my food?
All right.
I'll make her own. And then she's like, I don't want it. Okay.
She only wants mom stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So now you just gotta, when you're making that container, just add that 0.5 more, leave it to the side.
my 0.5 ounces, that extra ounce.
Extra ounce, move it to the side, give it to her. But no, that
if she doesn't eat it, I'll eat it. You didn't
right.
hear that, Ryan. Listen, I'm not eating extra.
He don't watch these, you good. So yeah, I've always wondered that about kids, because I know, like, for instance, one of the situations for me, like, I was a very hyper kid. So like I had the ADHD or whatever. And my mom took me to a specialist, and like she was refusing to put me on like meds or anything. So she asked if or the guy suggested doing a diet change. I'm like 8. And so I started eating like fish and potatoes. She took sugar out of my diet and stuff. But my performance in school and like my hyperness literally just leveled out because she removed all that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I asked that, because it's like, I feel like as kids, we develop these terrible eating habits from like being 6 months old and not even knowing what we're doing because our parents don't necessarily know. So that's kind of why I asked you that.
Yeah. The level of convenience. I know now, like daycare at the gym the other day, or like a while ago, there was cookies and she wanted one, but then she tasted it and was like, she doesn't like sweets. So.
Right. That's awesome. A little bit weird, maybe, but no, that's
right. She loves chocolate. Okay. I dropped a piece of Reese's on the floor a few weeks ago, and she like I heard it hit the floor, and I turned around and it was in her mouth, and I was like, oh. I want more. I was like, there is no more. It's gone. Over. You weren't even supposed to eat that.
She's gonna have a blast on Halloween. So next topic. So you mentioned earlier that you are in the military, you did that for 4 years, and now you're doing reserves as well. What was it like being a woman in the military? Obviously, I've heard horror stories. I've heard good things. You're a pretty woman, so I'm pretty sure you might have gotten some not so wanted attention in that aspect. You don't have to share that, but what was it like being a woman?
I didn't have a terrible experience. Unwanted attention. Yeah, men are stupid. I think the hardest part is, one, you don't want the unwanted attention when you're good at your job and you're getting opportunities, then it looks like you're getting opportunities because of who you are, when that's really not the case. I think the hardest part, though, is other women in the military as well. When you're a pretty woman in the military, other women feel some type of way about that. And there's kind of a lot of animosity there. I think one of the first things I was ever told in basic training by one of my drill sergeants was like, I hope you know you're not going to just make it far because you're pretty. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. But it's just one of those things where, like, we naturally, sometimes women look at each other like that. And so that kind of made it a little bit difficult. And you just wanted to keep attention off of yourself. So like never do the most, never be extra. Luckily I didn't have like horrible experiences. But I'm really grateful for that because I know women who have and everything else. But I enjoyed my time active duty. I miss it every now and then. I consider going back. And then I'm like, just kidding. But it wasn't bad. It definitely had its good days. It had its fun. But
so I'll be honest. I tell people this all the time. I'm a punk. Like I'm not built for the military. I'm not gonna act like I was built for the military. Like y'all can have that. Like nope, I'm good. So I already know it's tough. What can you talk about? Because I know that's kind of information. I actually worked for a school where like 50% of our students were military, so I had to learn about like Chapter 30, Chapter 33, tuition assistance, all that, because we're using that and helping people get their education. So can you talk about like what you did in the military? You weren't like some secret agent that might have like
No. Okay. I'm a medic.
You're a medic.
So yeah, basically a paramedic in the Army. I was fortunate enough to not deploy and not really have to like do my job.
Right.
But yes, I was a medic. Being a medic in garrison, like stateside, is really just kind of like a lot of normal, regular Army, boring work, unless it was like clinic stuff or practicing. Like I will say, I love the medical field, and that's kind of why I chose that as like avenue into that direction. But a lot of like playing with giving each other IVs, like, you know, stupid shit.
Right.
But it was always fun. It was always fun training, learning like things that I never thought I would learn. Like I got the experience in the field once. We were out there with a surgical team and got to learn how to give an IV in your bicep using an ultrasound machine to find your vein. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Definitely some cool things that you would never really do if you were a paramedic as a civilian.
Right.
Or things like that.
Right. So, and you're as being in reserve means that if something was to go down, I'm knocking on wood, you could possibly end up going, right?
Yeah, just depending on the unit. Luckily, like my unit is not going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, you could potentially. It just kind of depends on where you're at. So,
were you prepared for that? Even when you were in, were you prepared that I might have to go?
I wanted to. When I was in, I really wanted to. I tried really hard. I was always like, "Can I volunteer to go with this unit?" But no. So I wanted to because I wanted to not have to do my job like that, but I wanted to, you know, do what I joined to do.
Right.
But luckily I didn't have to. And even now, you know, if I had to, it would suck because I'd have to leave Mila, but you know.
Yeah. So what is the thing that you can say that you learned from your time in the military that you're using in your everyday life?
Routine for sure. And
I told you I throw curveballs.
Let's see. What did I learn in the military that I use in everyday life? Other than my routine. I feel like there's so many things that I just like don't think about.
Yeah, right. That's kind of why I'm asking, because it's probably such habit type things
embedded, like, you know, the ability to like respond quickly in certain situations or things like that just kind of come naturally now that I don't think came as naturally before.
Right.
Even like a level of independence, I guess, because when you join the Army fresh out of high school, you don't know anything other than, you know, you. So it kind of set me up for that, you know, being completely on my own and staying that way.
So if you don't mind me, how old are you?
25.
Jeez. Okay. So you went to the Army when you were 18?
Yes.
Okay. So straight out of high school into the Army. It's funny. I just talked to another guy who did the same thing. He was a Miss Physique guy. I'm not posting that next week. And he was talking about how like a lot of kids could probably benefit that don't know what they want to do with doing that when they get out of high school.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I see adults join and, you know, props to them. I think if I was 25 and considering the Army, I wouldn't do it, especially knowing what I know. And so many like kids are in training. But I totally agree, especially if you're unsure, if you're not sure where you want to go. One, the Army pays for your college. Military as a whole pays for you to go to college. So set yourself up and use it before putting yourself in debt. I changed my degree plan twice.
Lucky and then, you. Goodness, I'm in debt. So have fun.
So if I want to get my master's, I'll be in debt.
There you go.
But yeah, it just kind of sets you up. It makes you kind of let go, especially, you know, I look back and some things have not even changed at home for some people. And, you know, luckily some people are doing different things, but it forces you out of the house. It forces you to learn how to take care of yourself. It's a culture shock for sure. There's people I met in training who I was like, oh my God, like people are really like this. And I learned a lot from people, but it definitely kind of throws you into like one big melting pot and you kind of find yourself being friends with people who you were like, if we were in the Army together, I wouldn't even go anywhere near you. But now you're like my best friend.
Sorry to laugh. That's funny.
Teaching people independence but also a different kind of dependence, I guess, because then that's how the Army keeps you because you don't know anything other than the Army. So yeah,
next, yeah. So obviously we talk about the Army a little bit, talk about your military. The next thing, I know you're also a business owner. You do personal training. I did not know you were a full-time student. So that like now my mind is even more blown because I know that you just, how do you breathe? Like, and you're working out. Like, I don't even know how you have time to do it. Right.
I know. Oh,
so
no,
your business, go ahead and talk a little bit about it.
So I guess it's kind of, it's weird to get into because it's such a controversial topic. Because I feel like
that's
everybody
what I want to hear.
A certain thing about social selling or MLMs or whatever the case may be. If you follow me, you know that I'm partnered with Modere. It's social retailing, but I get a lot of mixed opinions on that because of the vibe that it carries. But I started the business with the intent of, a lot of people do social retailing. It's like, cool, if I share my link, it's going to get, like, if I can make a couple extra dollars, dope. If not, whatever. I'm going to use the products anyways, and I'm going to post them on my story anyways. You guys see me dry skip my pre-workout all the time. I don't make any money off of that, but I'm still going to post my routine because that's my routine.
Right.
And so I started it with the intent of it just kind of being a side hustle, and it really took off for me, and not even so much in selling, but the influence that I found that I had at the time as a stay-at-home mom. I just recently made the choice to go back into the gym with clients this month. So I've been at home and being a student, but growing other women, I guess, and mentoring, and there's men too. I always leave them out, but not with me. There's not. I have all women. But to be able to, one, stand with a product line that I like genuinely believe in, works and is phenomenal, and being able to add value and educate people, because there was so much that I learned that I didn't learn. And then it became less about money and more about the family that I built. Some of these girls I'll call now before I'll call some other people, and that's how we all met each other. So helping people, grow their business and their goals. When I started, I was trying to buy my house that I'm in now and just wanted anything extra. So now when I have people come to me and they're like, this is my goal. And it's like, how do I help you get there? Because that's what it's about. So that started to take a lot of my time. I found myself on Zoom calls and Zoom meetings and everything else. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't what I started with. And now it's a full-blown business and I love it. More than anything, it makes me happy. And same thing with, my personal training business. I've been a trainer since I got out of the Army and I started but my passion has always been with helping others. So it all kind of goes hand in hand with each other, and that's all physical fitness and wellness. And yeah.
So how do you, so obviously your life kind of revolves around the fitness side of things, health. Where is the psych major more like you're adding that third piece, which is mental health, to this?
Yes. Okay. Yes, because I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I don't care if you've been through trauma or, anything dramatic. I feel like literally everybody could benefit from going to therapy, because truthfully, it's embedded in us as children, which is where my area of interest is more so in children, different styles of parenting and everything else, and the way we communicate or don't, for some. So mental health and understanding you and doing inner work is really important to me. So to understand that on a different level is what I like, because it kind of allows me to look at people and be like, or reassess the situation and be like, okay, I know this about you and this makes sense because of this.
Yeah, no, so it's crazy that you talk about it, because I've been one of the people who, like, on my Facebook and stuff, that talk about mental health, because I went through a really, really tough time recently. But even before then, and I got so many, my dad wasn't there for me issues, like, and I always tell people, and I hate to take it this route, but I think you might understand a little bit where I'm coming from. Black men do not believe in going to therapy because it's been embedded in us, like, this is the shameful thing. And I think that's why you see a lot of these younger kids with, like, you want to classify them as a thug, or you want to classify them as this. No, they just don't have outlet. There's nobody to talk to. So there's mental health issues there that there's no resources for them to go to get through it. and then you're basically like, oh, that's a thug or this. Like, no, they're going through the mental health issues.
And then again, it always goes back to like educating people, and there's not resources, but there is resources, but there is such a stigma, especially like, yeah, Black men, it's a huge thing. Not to mention like why are you crying? Don't be a bitch. Like, when you should, like, you know, and like men especially, it's instilled in them as children, like you don't feel feelings like that. When you do, and it's important that you do, but it transforms into something so much bigger as we get older. And now, instead of working through it and understanding how to understand your emotions as a child, you are now, you know, 30 years old trying to figure out why the fuck am I like this, and they're doing years of digging to figure out what went wrong. So yeah, it's like educating and letting them know there's resources, but it's also okay to use the resources. Like, nobody's looking at you differently because you want counseling and you want to vent once a week, because Lord knows we need it, and our friends are also our friends, and you know, a little toxic too, so we don't always need to go to them with our problems.
It's funny because I actually last week I spoke to some of my friends. I spoke to a pastor, and I'm getting ready to start I call it men's safe space. So we're going to do a weekly mental health check phone call. So it's crazy that you're bringing this up, but it's just like, I felt it was needed. It's like I said, well, what I'm going through, what the people that are close to me are going through, we just need a place to be safe. We just need a place to have a safe space where this is not going to get out. Vent how you feel. I would like to have a speaker on there every week if I can, and just kind of encourage people. But yeah, it's crazy that mental health is so important, but yet so non-valuable to a lot of people within our world. It's crazy.
Yes, definitely is.
So my last thing, I won't keep you too much longer. I know we're going, but being a mom in bodybuilding, I wanted you to touch on that. You kind of did a little bit, but so what is your biggest struggle as far as being a mom and bodybuilding, trying to prep, doing that? What would you think your biggest struggle was? Was it just finding daycare? Is that what it is, or?
No, because I'm, you know, Mila's dad, like Marcus, he's a big help. But we're both bodybuilders. So
okay. I didn't know that.
Where that comes in is, you know, when it comes to prep, and now, you know, I'm just starting my prep, and luckily we haven't been in prep at the same time as one another yet, but it's like, fucking, sorry.
You good?
Like, you know, you have fasted cardio, I have fasted cardio, you know, where are we fitting schedules in? And, you know, now I didn't have her in daycare up until a couple months ago. I just started putting her in daycare. But yeah, that too, because if I take her to the gym and I have, you know, 45 minutes post cardio, but I know I'm going to be working out for an hour and a half, and I'm like, or an hour, and I'm like, do I really want her in the gym daycare for 2 hours? Is she going to be calm in daycare for 2 hours? And that was really, really hard. My first prep, she was, you know, a lot more, she was younger, she was more clingy, she was more needy. That made it hard too. And also, again, like meals, I feel like that is truly the hardest thing, because you don't think about it, or you get sidetracked, things happen. You know, the gym can always be made up. If I have to go really late or I have to go off schedule, I can do that. But I think food, which should be like the easiest, most disciplined part, it's the hardest part because it requires the most discipline. But that's where it's like missing meals. And then even just, you know, realizing there's days where you have to like sit back, because they always say like you can't pour from an empty cup. And when you're overstimulated as a mom, whatever other hats you're juggling, and then you throw in prep, which, you know, prep is exhausting. Like, it's not for everyone.
Nope.
And so when you're like, shit, like I'm tired, I've been a mom all day, I've been running around in circles all day, and now I get to prep food, or, you know, I need to make sure, you know, X, Y, and Z is prepared for the week. Or so it's like, we all say we have the same amount of time in a day, and the excuse I hate more than anything is I don't have time because you have time, make time. But pushing back through some of those mental blocks, because there's those days where like parents as a whole, dads included, are like, I don't even want a mom today, bro. Like, and I have to like do it all.
You hear her laughing in the back.
Yep. Happy because it's past her bedtime. And I'm in her room, so she can't come to bed. But yeah, so I think pushing through some of that, and then realizing, I think even like I didn't realize how active I was before, which I'm active, I'm chasing after a toddler, but like that your non-exercise activity throughout the day, where as much as it falls back, because you also find yourself like laying on the couch, or nap time, she doesn't want to nap. Like if I'm in here, then that's 2 hours I'm not moving. So it's like just little things that we don't realize play parts in prep. Everybody jokes like you're 10,000 steps a day, like, but no, really it's important. Like,
right.
So
right.
It's like now finding that time, and being that Marcus works like evenings, I can't just leave in the evenings when she goes to sleep and
right.
like go on a walk or whatever. So just little things, but mostly the mental aspect of it. It requires a different level of mental strength than prep does, and prep requires a lot of mental strength.
Have you taken her to a show yet?
She has. So her first show, she was 2 months old. And then she's been to a couple.
Really? How, like, yeah. Is that something that's for you?
Yeah, yes and no. She went to the first one. I had clients competing, so she went, and it's easy. She's a baby. I think now it's a little bit harder because she's wild and running everywhere.
Yeah. You good? Yeah, you got mom duties. It's okay. You're good.
But yeah, so I think if I have her at my show when I compete again, probably just be for prejudging, because I couldn't imagine her running around like a psychopath final.
Yeah. I understand. So last thing, when's the show coming up?
Right now, Ryan and I are aiming for the San Antonio Classic, so that'll be October 23rd. Okay. 10.5 weeks.
You don't sound confident. Or are you just like scared of what's about to happen, or what's going on?
No, I'm confident. I think I'm just embracing, mentally preparing. Prep just started for me. We just decided on this. We just started.
What part of Texas are you in?
I'm in Fort Hood still, near, so like not far from Austin, not far from everything.
Right.
Central Texas.
So Houston is like my second home. That's why I asked. That's like second home. That's where all my family's from. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, San Antonio Classic is what we're aiming for.
So you go win that one in October. You gonna go to Miami in December?
No. So we're trying to hurry to get to the off season. I need some development. So we're going to make sure that we bring something undeniable to nationals next year.
All right. I like that. So I also see you are a big dark sport fan, because you wear that crap all the time, yo. All the time. Nothing wrong with it. Dark sport's fire. I was just like, I noticed that you're into that she line. You like that a lot?
Yeah.
We're going to get you a dark sport sponsored. That's the next step. That's the next step.
It's one of the hardest things to do, I've learned.
Yeah, that's the next step. But all right, y'all, I'm not gonna hold her any longer.
But the brand stands for something great.
So. Yeah, it does. I love dark sport. But all right, y'all, I don't want to hold her any longer. Y'all heard she got all the hats. We hear the baby laughing, trying to avoid bedtime. We don't want that to happen. So for everybody listening, I appreciate your time. I will have all of Kyla's information within the description. So like IG, anything like that. Do you do online coaching?
I do.
Okay, so IG, hit her. If you need an online client, or if you want to be an online client, hit her up. But make sure you follow her so we can get those follows up so she can get sponsored by Dark Sport. That's y'all's task for those that listen. But for everybody listening, thank you for listening. For everybody watching, you got to see my beautiful face and Miss Collins as well. Y'all have a great rest of the day. Thank you.